Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. We are about a month out from Blade Show, and I'm going to talk about it one more time. Probably not the last time even, but I figured it would be a good time to do it considering that the Blade Show podcast just went out a few days ago as I'm recording this. Before I get to the rest of my backlog, I know I sound like I'm complaining. It's an amazing problem to have, but I have so many things to cover in the backlog, from video ideas to actual Balisongs. I have a few unboxings that I have to do that I'm a little behind on. I have follow-up videos from Balisongs I got before I even went to Blade Show. It's been rough. I have a long list of videos to make, and I actually just finished a maintenance stream on my main channel. Streams on my main channel, come check them out, that will allow me to record some of those follow-up videos. Just a little bit of a taste for you right there. But today I wanted to do a video, before we get into all of that, about something that I promised a while ago, which was what the different makers had at Blade Show. Now, it's very possible that I start talking and it just ends up being about Squid, because Squid had so many of the announcements at Blade Show. But if I make it to everyone else, then that's great. So, Squid, what did they have at Blade Show? They had a lot. They started off the Blade Show week, by announcing like one thing a day for like a week straight. They announced like the Titanium Kraken, and then the Mako V5, and then there was the Squiddy XL, and it was just like, it was announcement after announcement and after announcement, and it was like, holy cow, Squid. There is no way. I remember telling Ty, there's no way they have anything else that they haven't shown us that they'll show up with at the show. Like, we've seen everything at this point. I don't think they can really surprise us. And they surprised us. They still had 5 other freaking things, not actually, but they still had so many other things that they actually were announcing. And it was crazy, and I just don't know how they did it. So let's start off with Squid, because they had the most plentiful amount of things that I want to talk about. By the way, this video will only be booths that I made it to. I didn't make it to booths like BRS. I didn't even step foot at booths like BRS, Flightanium, Jerry Hom. So, like, I can't really speak on them. So it's just going to be announcements from booths that I actually went to and I actually tried the product out, because I can actually talk about the product a little bit. But I didn't make it to those booths. That's just how crazy Blade Show is, especially when you're a content creator who's being pulled in so many different directions and you want to hang out with so many different people. Sometimes the booths do take a backseat, which is unfortunate, but the reality of the situation. So, let's get into it. The most exciting thing for me personally from Squid was the Mako V5. I tried a Mako V4 when I was at Ty's house for the first time in a long time, and I didn't really like it. I'm going to be totally honest. Squid has like that standard like Squid handle bias that just has gotten so boring to me over the years. Which, like, Squid makes great stuff, I'm not denying that, but like that little bit of handle bias that like the Triton has, that the Mako V4.5 had, even something that like the Kraken trainer has, is just kind of not my thing anymore. So trying a Mako V4.5, I wasn't really terribly impressed. The Mako V5, I was actually impressed by, and I thought I was crazy, but I actually detected a balance change, so I talked to the people at the Squid booth about it. And they told me that, yes, I'm not crazy. There actually is a slight balance adjustment, because if you don't know, the difference is that there's different milling in the handles. It has jimping now. It has like a line down it. It has a hardened steel blade. No more Mako's bending, hopefully. And it has improved like finishing in the washer area. You can't really see that from the outside, but they said that since the blade is hardened, the blade is a little bit heavier, and since they did extra milling in the handles are a tiny bit lighter. So it actually is, again, according to the workers at the Squid booth, it actually is a slightly more neutral Mako, and it's not by much, but it was enough for me to say, you know what, I actually kind of like this. The Bead Blast still killed me. I really wish we could just abolish Bead Blast as a whole, but I really like the Mako V5. It is just a better Mako. They charge $20 more for it, but I'm actually not mad at that. I think that's actually a really smart move, because it means that they killed the Triton. And we speculated about this in the podcast and at Blade Show, but it's official now. If you go on Squid's website, the Triton is officially labeled as discontinued. That is so good, because the Mako now gives you the experience that the Triton did. the extra grip from the milling in the handles, the hardened blade, but it's at a cheaper price than the Triton was, because the Triton V2 retailed for like $135-ish. Now you can get that hardened steel blade, you can get that extra grip. In my opinion, more grip than the Triton ever offered, with that dinky little line running down the handle. And you get more personality than the Triton ever offered, because the Mako it's a shark. It's not like a boring Tonto with a single line. It's a shark with gills and gill jimping, and there's so much personality from it. And you can get that for $120, $15 cheaper than the Mako or than the Triton ever was. So while the Mako has gone up in price, which some people aren't happy about, the experience of the Triton has actually gone down in price, which I think is a perfect happy medium, considering that the Squiddy AL now exists to fill the spot that the Mako used to. Although I will admit, all of my Sandwich Mako fans, I do hear you. I also wish it was still Sandwich, but unfortunately those are days long gone and we can't really do anything about it at this point. So, now that I've spent 5 minutes talking about a single product out of like 10, 15 that I want to talk about, the other stuff was pretty mediocre from Squid, honestly. The titanium Kraken was very cool. The weight system with the adjustable pins, super cool idea. Love to see it. Sandwich Kraken, really cool. I used to say that the Sandwich Kraken wasn't needed, or the titanium Kraken wasn't needed, because the Hydro fulfilled a very Kraken-like role in titanium. I could not disagree more at this point. I don't think that the Hydro feels like the Kraken at all. It was cool to see them bring the Kraken to titanium. Unfortunately, it just flipped like a titanium Kraken. Not terribly exciting for someone like me who already is kind of bored with the Kraken kind of formula. Someone who has moved on to other things like the Seraph, the Prisma Pro, stuff like that. Even the Orion, honestly. So I wasn't terribly impressed by the titanium Kraken, but the fact that they're offering that titanium sandwich experience of the Kraken at $420.69, nice. Honestly, not bad. I thought the price wasn't great at Blade Show. I've thought about it since. Not a bad price whatsoever, especially with Machine-Wise raising the price of their Live Blade titanium offering. I think the Sliff T really did skew my view of value when it comes to titanium live blades. And if you want a little bit of a cheaper one, the Hydro still exists. The Hydro Sandwich too. It's cool. Just didn't do a lot for me personally. Although the trainer, I believe the trainer retails for like $350, which for a titanium trainer, not the worst. Not the best, not the worst. Squid also had a few prototypes that they didn't tell us about before the show. The Squiddy XL, by the way, very cool. Would never pay $200 for it. Wish it was cheaper because I would buy it and put it in my background as a display. Was surprisingly flippable. Never would pay $200 for it, even though it's a cool novelty. Next, the prototypes that they had were pretty cool. They had a double edge production Kraken in collaboration with Flytanium, who made the Zenith blade, the Zenith trainer blade for the 42, 51, one of those two. Squid said, hey, let's take that blade, let's make it a double edge, let's put it on the Kraken. And let's make one of the cheapest and hopefully most produced double edges the community's ever seen. Super cool. Again, not my thing, because double edge means you can't do half of the tricks that I really like doing, like zero-G chaplains and chaplains in general. Yeah, I don't really like flipping double edge, so I couldn't even tell the balance of it, because part of me figuring out what the balance of a Balisong is doing a zero-G chaplain. And I couldn't do that on a double edge, so I didn't really get a good feel of what it flipped like, but I could tell that I wasn't terribly interested in it. However, I am excited for it in the sense of this is exciting for the community rather than this is exciting for me personally. They also had the ProTech collab, the Flyfather V2 or something like that. Wow, that sucked. Wow. I cannot believe Squid produced a Balisong that flipped that poorly. I understand that it's not for us. It's a flipping Balisong. It's not a flipping Balisong. It's more for like the EDC pocket knife crowd who really likes ProTech. But my lord, I really just can't believe that Squid put out a Balisong that flips like that. Even though they kept the blade, they were trying to be faithful to the old blade. They did a great job. The blade is just not conducive to a good flipping experience. But man, it was light. It barely chaplined. It didn't fan whatsoever. I just didn't enjoy the Flyfather V2 whatsoever. So I hope that does well for them from the non-flipping crowd, because I don't think the flipping crowd is really going to bite on that one at all. What else did Squid have? I think that's about it. They had the Weehawk Krakens again. Like the Weehawk, a nice little in-between between the Tonto Kraken and the Bowie Kraken. In my opinion, you get the looks of the of the Bowie Kraken while getting a little bit of the flipping from the Tonto Kraken. Not entirely, but it's like a good in-between. And I can't believe there's 4 Kraken blades now with that new dual edge one. That's pretty crazy. They also had the Tsunamis, which aren't new, but was something that I flipped, and I'm just not impressed with the Tsunami anymore. Granted, I've never flipped a Tsunami that flipped the same as another Tsunami, but, like, I didn't flip a Tsunami at Blade Show that made me, like, go wow, especially now that I've spent so much time with my Seraph, which is just by far my favorite Balisong ever. I'm just not impressed with the Tsunamis very much anymore. I know a lot of effort goes into them. I know they're made pretty well-ish, kind of. And I know some people really like them, but they are just not my thing. And I think that's just how Squid is overall. Squid makes some cool stuff. The Squid Trainer, I love the Squid Trainer. The Live Kraken is legendary. I also even maybe might pick up a new Mako V5, but Squid stuff just really isn't my thing. And I think that's just the best way to leave it. I really do feel like I'm forgetting something from Squid, but I can't think of it now, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time thinking about it. So inevitably, when I remember what it was after I finish this recording, I'll leave a pinned comment or something talking about my opinions on it. But let's move on to the next booth, Machine-Wise. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about Machine-Wise, because I have done full videos on everything that they announced, the Totori and the Sasori. But the Totori and the Sasori really impressed me. The Totori impressed me more than the Sasori. The Sasori, I have a follow-up video coming out in like a week or two. Not enjoying it as much as I did when I first picked it up. It's still a great Balisong, just not enjoying it as much as when I first picked it up. That's just the statement. But the big standout to me, outside of Balisongs, because again, if you want to know my full opinions, not my full, but my more full opinions on anything Machine-Wise brought, go check out the videos I've done on the Totori and the Sasori at this point. The Sonora. And the pen, but I've seen the pen before. I've tried the pen before. The Sonora is incredible. $600 for a pocket knife, I know, is a lot to ask for Bally flippers. Like, I know a lot of people in the Balisong community don't really understand that. But considering that we have a bunch of people who will happily spend $1,000 on a Balisong, I don't think we really have much room to judge. Man, as someone who is not a folding knife guy, and who never will be, I can't justify spending $600 on a folding knife when I can't flip it or I can't play with it like I can a Balisong. Man, did the Sonora look and feel incredible. It is one of the smoothest. I don't have much experience in the folding knife industry, but like the smoothest and tightest feeling action I've ever felt on a folding knife. The kind of experience that makes you go, damn, I wish I was in this hobby so that I could want to spend money on this, because the Sonora, wow, it made me want to spend money on it. And I'll throw in Grant too. The Sidewinder, I think his knife is called, same thing. Wow, that made me wish that I was into pocket knives enough to actually want to spend the money on those, because those two felt incredible. But that's Machine-Wise. The Rota was pretty cool. Not my favorite thing ever, honestly. The Rota felt a little too, like, it didn't feel like I could reliably open it and close it, because, like, if you turn it too far, then it closes again. I feel like there could be a little work in making it so that I can't overturn it when it, but then that ruins the fidgetability of it. It's a tough thing to design for. I totally understand that, but like the Rota, I feel like it would annoy me using it. Maybe you could get used to it, but you just turn it a bit too much and suddenly the thing's closed again. Anyway, Grant stuff, I'm going to be honest, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with. The new Medusa I've heard rave things about from people who were like, I didn't understand why it costs so much now until I flipped a Blade Show, and now I really understand. I picked it up. I was like, as a Medusa, I put it back down. And then the Invar Gaboon, I wasn't a huge fan of. But I'm already not a huge fan of the Gaboon anyway, so I wasn't really expecting to like that thing. Now, one standout for me was EPS. Getting to try all of EPS's stuff outside of the, bad experience that I had with, I shouldn't say bad, the unsavory experience I had with the 101 that I borrowed from Ted. Getting to try EPS's stuff was really, really cool. And the standout of his booth was by far the prototype that he had for, I believe they called it the Core. It was a double channel design where you have both channel G10 and channel titanium. Super, super cool. If you want to know more about it, go watch Will's video that he did on EPS. They show it off extensively there. But like ridiculously cool stuff that I was super excited about in the moment. And then afterwards I was like, what is actually the point of that? Like, what's the benefit of doing that over something like normal scales? I don't know. I can't answer that. I might actually reach out to EPS and just be like, hey, what's the benefit? Besides, like, if it's just customization, that's fair. But like, is there a benefit to doing channel on channel instead of just doing the typical scales on top of liners or something like that? Or even just G10 inlays, like something like the Vault Pro does, even though those aren't channel inlays, they're just inlays. I don't know. Maybe there is no reason. Maybe there doesn't have to be a reason. All I know is that it was really cool and I really enjoyed seeing it. And EPS's stuff in general, really good. I did have that unsavory experience with the texturing of the 101 V2, but, that's just kind of how it goes. I don't consider myself a texture freak, but when you have a texture that doesn't vibe, when I have a texture that doesn't vibe with me, it really doesn't vibe with me. So that was just unfortunately one of those cases. The EPS stuff, I will admit, also kind of like a squid level of like not my thing. Specifically the 101 line, I just have this problem chaplaining all of them. It just feels like such an unstable chaplain. But either way, the stuff is made well. It was really nice to get to talk to the man behind everything at EPS and finally, put a face to the name and all of that, which is tough to do when I knew nothing about his brand, essentially. And the only thing I tried was the 101 V1, or V2, 101 V2. But the Wraiths were pretty good. Again, not something that I personally would go for, but I can understand why it's gotten so much hype lately. EPS is doing some great stuff. I honestly do really like their place in the community, even if I don't really vibe with a lot of like the flipping experiences that they offer. Because that's the thing, you don't have to like the flipping experiences that they offer to recognize that they are really important to the community. And I think they're getting slept on a little bit because you don't see a lot of videos or anything about the EPS stuff. So maybe I'll have to look around on the secondhand market or the firsthand market to get some EPS stuff to shine a little bit more light on them on the channel. And maybe have it not go as poorly as I treated the 101 V2, which looking back, I do feel a little bad about. I can't lie. But man, the chalkiness just really did kill that thing for me. Anyway, I think that's about everything that I was excited for at Blade Show. Again, I didn't get to half of the booths because it was just so crazy. Talking to everyone and all of that. But the booths that I did go to, I really enjoyed. Hybel was also there, which was great to see, but Hybel didn't have anything new. Again, this is just specifically talking about booths that had like new stuff. And just booths that I really enjoyed visiting. It was great. Blade Show was amazing. I'm sure you guys might be getting sick of hearing it at this point, but probably not. Anyway, there are more... the Necron. You know what? I'm going to leave the Necron for a future Blade Bias podcast bonus episode that Brandon and I may or may not be filming later this week. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about with the Necron. I'm not going to steal Brandon's thunder because I feel like he has some passionate things to say about that thing. So I will just This is going to be one of those rare times where I zip my lips and I go the other way. Even though yeah. Yeah, I don't really zip my lips too often. I'm going to do that right now. So yeah. That is everything that I remember currently. Again, pin comment if I missed anything. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble for so long about Blade Show. Again, for the 19th time. Really do appreciate it. New stuff coming soon. Old stuff coming soon that if I've forgotten to do a video, no I haven't. It's coming soon. There's just a lot to talk about. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.